Budgets across Hollywood are exploding. The Walt Disney Company cannot get its act together when it comes to forcing its directors and actors, when they work, to actually work for an appropriate amount of money. So what is happening here? And is this the real reason that Bob Iger is going to the Bob Chapek playbook to pull forth a one-app solution intended to save the House of Mouse? All right, folks, we are talking about the happy umbrella that is Disney, pulling all of their baskets together. Every single egg in a basket, every single basket under a single umbrella. Retail, merchandise, streaming, it is all going under one app, is what we have been told. Joining us to talk about this major development, should it be true, is Valiant Renegade, Stuttering Guitarist, and Tommy Tables. Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel.
Thank you for having us.
Good to be here.
Hello.
Absolutely. All right, well, we are going to get into this, folks. If you like content like this, consider clicking the like button. You know the rest. All right, here's the deal. Valiant, you are bringing out tomorrow a huge exclusive on the cost of the movie Snow White, which we believe to be a giant, dirty hipster dumpster fire.
It's a mess.
Tell us, yeah. So, you know, Hollywood has lost total control of budgets, especially in the post-lockdown world. We'll say that so we get around those censors on YouTube. But, you know, in this landscape we have in the last 3 years, things have went absolutely insane. Talk to us a little bit about how bad it's getting for Hollywood budgets.
Well, you know, everybody's having issues, but Disney, of course, seems to have more issues more frequently and consistently than everybody else. Disney has long had this mindset of, we're Disney. We can do whatever we want. We can spend whatever we want, and the audience will show up. The problem is, of course, is the lag time between conception and actual release. And what Disney is finding out now is when they conceived these projects, greenlit them, gave them budgets, and of course, most of these budgets get blown sky high. By the time they release, they're figuring out that, oh, darn it, the audiences aren't showing up, at least not in the numbers that we desperately need to justify what we spent. And of course, as we've discussed many, many times, there's no longer nearly as much of a financial market for Disney projects after they leave the theaters that there used to be when they licensed them out, when they gave them proper windowing. It's just Disney has got to make their money back at the box office for theatrical releases, or otherwise, poof, it's gone. You know, that's just where they are. Snow White is going to be another one of these debacles by all accounts at this point. We'll wait to see when this movie releases next year, but it ain't looking good.
Well, I can't wait to hear the report that you're going to give tomorrow. You have an awesome video out Friday afternoon. Fantastic coverage of the Disney Company and its financial situation. And Snow White, you've already told me the numbers. Folks out there, yeah, I'm telling you. Folks, listen. The Snow White numbers, they are, you're not going to believe them. So just hang tight. Wait till you hear this and how much this movie's going to have to make. Now, SG and Tommy Tables, both of you have been great contributors to that Park Place, and I'm so pleased with how both the website and the channel are doing. What Valiant's talking about on this destruction of Disney's revenue sources is when it comes to secondary markets, there are no VHS tapes, there are no DVDs, there are no Blu-rays, and so Disney now is looking for some kind of solution to get revenues going again. Remember that was essentially free money because they made a movie, they put it in the box office, it made its box office money, and then the only extra charge was to format it for television screens, to put it on the physical media and ship it out to the retailers. They didn't make any new stuff. It just went out there. Sure, they had straight to VHS, straight to Blu-ray, straight to DVD, but the movie side of this, the box office side of it, was just redundant revenues. And that was wonderful for Disney. And then they could do these special editions. And then they had redundancy built into the redundancy. Now, they are dunces because they have eliminated all of that, and they're just down to streaming, which turns out to be extraordinarily expensive. Do either of you have any thoughts on this position we're now in?
Absolutely. I got to see through Clownfish that Disney's trying to get back to the physical market. along, with the PVOD, with a $1,500 box set of, I believe they're Blu-rays.
Oh,
Yep.
yes. The 100
Yeah.
Disney collection.
Yeah, and what I think we're seeing is when a company doesn't have the money it used to, people start paying attention. It's like your boss says, "Hey, we need to go over your mileage report." You're like, "Why?" Right now, people are going over Disney's mileage report, and it's not real good.
Every trucker out there who is listening to this video, just empathize with that. Tommy, the plan by Disney apparently is that they're going to try, and this is what one of our sources out there has said, they're going to try to streamline all of this: theme parks, retail, merchandise, streaming, movies, etc., all under some kind of singular Disney app. Tommy, any hope on your side that might solve Disney's revenue issues?
Well, I mean, it's funny because it's easy to say hindsight is 2020, right? When you're looking back at things. But when they had first decided to essentially forsake physical media and just put all of their eggs in the basket of streaming, were there no dissenting voices? Like, was there no one prescient enough to kind of say, hey, wait a minute, why are we getting rid of these, guaranteed streams of revenue? It's a little baffling to me. And again, I recognize that you can sit here from a position of having seen it happen and kind of, we know that the disaster occurred, but what are these people being paid money for? But just anyway, to answer your question about everything being unified into one single app, I really think they should talk to Elon Musk about this. They might have a bit of competition with X. To be honest, it sounds like one of the few strategies that they have available to them to try to rebuild their income streams, I suppose. But I think in the pro show yesterday, it was either you or Jonas who had mentioned that you can have the best app in the world, you can have the most streamlined thing out there, but the reputational damage to the company, like you need the customers, you need the people to use it. And right now, is that trust there in the public that they would actually even want to use this type of streamlined app? And I'm not so sure about that.
That's a great point. Valiant, you were actually with me. We were talking to one of the sources who gave me some breadcrumbs that allowed me to then talk to a friend who gave us some more stuff on this. We were discussing with the source, you and I together, the possibilities of something like this where you could streamline theme parks and theme park sales into the same thing as a Disney Plus, etc. Now that we know a little bit more about this alleged project that Disney's working on, do you see some financial advantages to having retail and merchandise streamlined into Disney Plus, where you watch a show like Moana and then all of a sudden you're getting ads for Moana and you can click on the ad inside the app and buy Moana stuff immediately? And is there any other kind of hidden economic benefit to this that I'm not yet talking about?
No, I think you hit all the nails on the head there, Pro. Look, what Wall Street loves, especially nowadays, as the breadth of how businesses have to operate in a modern economy continue to expand, the word synergy is always something of a hot button take, right? So when you're a Disney or you're a Meta or you're a Twitter/X or whatever the case, throw in all the other Hollywood studios out there. What Wall Street wants to see is how efficiently are you levering your power, your assets, your capital. So in the case of Disney, in the case of this reported Project Starbeam, what's fascinating about it, as it will probably be fleshed out and then publicly announced by Disney sometime down the road, is that, hey, we're collecting data on our park guests over here. We're collecting data on our Disney Plus subscribers and viewers over here. We're collecting data on other stuff. When people go to Disney Store, when people go online and shop at the Disney Store specifically, we need to coalesce all of this user consumer data in one place. That creates a synergy, meaning that if Disney or any other company is spending $500 million over here, $500 million over here, $500 million over here to track all this stuff, hey, if we create a consolidated synergy, we could save $1 billion a year on that total capital expenditure across the realm. Put it into one unified system, cut out the redundancies, and ergo save a ton of money while at the same time also increasing efficiency to turn those consumers through all these 2, 3, 4, 5 different marketing tracking platforms into one and sell them more stuff. That's the bottom line. That's what Disney and everybody else wants to do. So this kind of thing makes a ton of sense. And it's also one of the things that if Disney is really driving forward, that would have been something that would have really excited Wall Street analysts and investors Tuesday for at least the 120 of them that were privately invited to go down to Walt Disney World, and which is where we got the things like the we want to quiet the noise comment. That wasn't brought up. None of this was brought up. None of the big ticket items were brought up. It was all about parks and hotels. Disney really needs to shift gears at this point and start talking about the future rather than the past. This is what has Wall Street bothered right now.
It makes one wonder if this is perhaps several or many years away as they work towards it. It doesn't seem like it's a small thing to do this. Another thing that's not small is getting these budgets under control at the same time that Disney has lost out on these redundancy revenues, at the same time that Disney has seemingly lost the confidence of families, and thus their parks domestically are down, and thus their Disney Plus subscriptions continue to fall in North America. Well, Disney also has a major budget problem. You'll be talking about this, Valiant, tomorrow with Snow White and the Seven Dirty Hippies. But we've got a message here, and this comes from a source who is from inside Hollywood. And folks, when I tell you that this individual has played ball with the highest levels of the industry, we mean it. We really, really mean it. And to this individual, I also want to apologize. I have not been able to respond to a couple of emails promptly to this individual, and I am getting to it, but you are highly, highly valued by the fact that, yes, we're reading parts of this message right now in the video. So here's what this individual has to say. We're going to skip a major chunk of it to get to the part that's that has something to do with the topic for today. But it starts off this way. It says, I've been thinking about this a lot, and it seems to me that your audience may realize when numbers are huge that it makes it hard to turn a profit, but not how those numbers explode and why and who is to blame. Goes on to talk about how this individual knows all of this sort of stuff, and then it goes into many, many paragraphs about exactly how budgets go over. But here's the really the pertinent point to what we're talking about today. It says, the reason for these crazy inflated overspends, and especially the reshoots that cause them, is people at the top not doing their jobs and not giving a damn about the budget and everyone working in a culture of, hey, it's a major motion picture. Let's do whatever we have to do rather than saying don't start until the script and casting work. The rest, as they say, is your and Valiant's report, but the causes are astounding hubris and mismanagement. There is literally no other excuse for this. Nothing technical, no challenge to the shooting, no issue, even with, and it's talking here about Harrison Ford, even with Ford's injury on the Indiana Jones film. It says that is just absolutely ridiculous. Anyhow, hope this helps everyone understand the nuts and bolts of budgeting and production management. We have great professionals who do this job well for a reason, and they are highly paid and worth the money to do A, the plain things, and B, execute the schedule on the set. Among ADs and UPMs, it is common knowledge that we are not necessarily the favorite people of directors and producers, even though in the same guild with directors, because we're the ones who have to tell them no. They ask for 40 extras. We say, can you have 20? They ask for 40 more days. They are told you have one more max. But that's how business works, even show business. And even though there's no business like it. One of the best little factoids about why making movies is different than making any other for-sale product was told by a veteran showbiz reporter once upon a time. Said, at $40 million a movie and $200 million a movie, they still cost the same at the local theater box office. So the hubris of it doesn't matter. This is Star Wars and we'll get zillions of people to watch it over and over. Well, it's just plain crazy. And a little last anecdote about the original Star Wars made it inexpensively. And of course, an unmitigated box office bonanza. It made its money back so fast and went into profit for Fox so completely that it was calculated at the time that little things that add up included this. The cost of running, supplying, and staffing the studio commissary was paid for the year in about the second month of release. In other words, every sandwich, every cup of latte, and every server's salary and keeping the lights on and the paper napkin dispensers filled was pure profit to the studio at that point because of Star Wars. Many more too. That's what a hit does. Everything is amortized across the board of company expenses or not, and the lights go off. And that's without figuring the interest on the budget loans too. This all talking about the fact that when you are highly successful with a movie like Star Wars, well, it pays for itself very quickly. But when the budgets are insane, you are not guaranteed to have a success. The budget does not determine the return. Gentlemen, any thoughts on what we've received here from this individual? And folks, we'll have the rest of that message hopefully next week. It's amazing going into detail of exactly how the Hollywood finances work.
Well, I'll just say real quickly, it's funny that final comment that you made about budget versus return. That's exactly the video I did last night, yesterday evening, that I put out, talking about the media really needs to be educated on budget versus cost. Because too many times, especially with cinematic releases, people look at things like the numbers and they say, oh, well, Variety magazine reported the budget was $200 million. Great. That's the budget. And absent of any actual factual evidence, we usually run with that as, okay, that's the budget. When we have actual costs for some of these films, especially from Disney, they turn out to be more oftentimes than not radically higher.
Yes.
So, we covered the budget for Infinity War was $300 million. The budget for Endgame was $400 million. What did Disney actually spend? What was the actual cost to produce those two films in the same UK production entity? It was nearly double that. It was almost $1.3 billion. So this is where people have to get their hands around reality and not just budgets that are put out. And studios are under no obligation, even if they're publicly traded, to put out the exact numbers. Those are called corporate secrets. They usually keep those under wraps, and I get that. That's fine. But when we use our metrics to determine how profitable an enterprise value really is for something like Star Wars or Marvel, or throw in anything under Disney, Universal, anywhere else, you've got to get down to the nitty-gritty. And if we have the nitty-gritty, well, we got to use it.
Well, and I agree with you, and Val, you have done a fantastic job of sort of forcing entertainment journalism to actually do their job now and figure out these budgets, because you started reporting out of the tax filings from the UK at a time when it seems like entertainment journalists didn't have any interest in doing that. Mm-hmm. So fantastic job of creating a paradigm shift in the coverage. One of the things that I'm fascinated with about this Project Starbeam, the alleged effort to put everything Disney under one app, is I wonder if they do that, are they attempting then to create a system where the revenues generated by, let's say, a movie that moves over to this one app, then the revenues generated under merchandise, the revenues generated by this particular project driving people to go to the parks, if they want to be able to track that and then use that as justification for these huge budgets. I want Tommy and SG's take on that, and then Valiant, I'll give you last word on that particular item.
Yeah, absolutely. What it feels like is Thanksgiving, the adults table, the kids table, instead of letting the kids grow up and move to the adults table, they just gave them a turkey and some knives. And
let the feathers fly if they're still attached.
I love it.
Well said, SG. Tommy, any take on it?
I mean, I don't think I can talk that, but I will say that not exclusively to the entertainment industry, but I would say in pretty much every industry, private or public, usually it's the case that when you see the budget, more often than not, that budget gets blown on most projects. And unfortunately, it seems to be becoming a bit more, it's a bit rare now that you actually find companies or people who are able to deliver things in budget on time. Maybe I'm being too cynical here, but it's a basic kind of, it's like a basic understanding of the way business or government, especially government, works. And you would think that some of these trades that are reporting on, the budgets for these movies, they seem to keep, conveniently forgetting about the fact that the budget doesn't necessarily mean that's what it actually cost.
That's exactly right. And unfortunately, the mainstream continues to report on it just as if it is. Valiant, we go to you for the final word on this. You seem to be chomping at the bit when I talked about combining this so that you can justify those budgets a bit more. Don't forget also, Valiant, that you and I don't remember this as a private source or a public source, but we've also been told Disney is driving hard into artificial intelligence with all of this. So take it away. Final word to you, sir.
Well, I'll say this. What Disney has been doing is resting on its laurels now for several years. And I talked about this even some of the first days that I've been on YouTube 2.5 some odd years ago. Disney is still trying to sell the same bill of goods to Wall Street and Wall Street analysts and investors. And by that, what I mean is, hey, look, don't worry about what we're spending on these movies. Don't worry about what we're spending on Disney Plus shows. Don't worry about if movies don't do as great as we think they should have otherwise. Because you know what? All of this IP is integrated. It's growing the larger Disney enterprise. It's growing the parks. It's growing attendance. It's making popular stuff. They don't have to turn a profit in the theater. Disney Plus doesn't necessarily have to make a profit, although we're still guiding towards the fact that we want to turn some kind of profit, even if it's $1, by the end of next fiscal year in 2024, September 30th, 2024 to be exact. Wall Street is kind of starting to look at this and go, bull crap. They're not buying it anymore.
All right, Matthew.
Yeah.
All right, Matthew McConaughey. I know what you're up to there.
Yeah. No, so the point is that Disney has been coasting on this. They've been riding on this idea that things don't have to be profitable in and of themselves because it grows the rest of the Disney enterprise. But the problem is Pro, you and I have discussed many times for the last 1.5 years since we've been together, is that if there ever comes a point where we start seeing guidance forward that the park revenue is in decline or attendance is in decline and that other areas of Disney are starting to suffer, then it's going to be a problem. Well, guess what, folks? Here we are. We're at that point now.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
That's right.
So, we were talking about this way ahead of the curve. I mean, way flipping ahead of the curve. Wall Street has been catching up to what I've been saying about Disney Plus with it's not all about subs, it's about value. They changed their tune within the last 12 months to, well, we need to see some profits. Well, dirt. That's what we've been telling people. Same thing now with the parks. The lack of IP exuberance, people not going to the theaters to see these movies. People don't care about these things. Disney Plus, as our contacts out there in the manufacturing world have told us, it's not the same kind of event level B and C tier purchases that a theatrical release can do, right? People that go see a movie are more likely to buy toys and merch from it. People that watch something on Disney Plus, far less so. And this is what Disney has been relying on, and nothing seems to be working. They don't have anything going for them right now.
I just realized, Valiant, you just walked into the thing that I had not tied together. You're exactly right. We have talked with sources before who tell us the model is the family goes to the movies, they leave the movies, they go to McDonald's, they get the Happy Meal, they go to Walmart, they go to Target, they get the toy. Disney needs to figure out how to replicate that on streaming, and they figured it out by putting it under one umbrella. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Valiant, well played. So folks out there, if in a few years this all comes to pass where there's a single Disney app, remember the Valiant Renegade channel, the WW Pro channel, we were ahead of the culture curve and explained entertainment way back all the way now. I also want to say a big thank you to Stuttering Guitarist and Tommy Tables. Again, both of you gentlemen have been a huge part of that park place. And SG, your articles in particular are fantastic, and we are overjoyed that you've become a part of the TPP team. Look forward to hopefully having you on the YouTube channel very soon as well. Phenomenal work, gentlemen. And Valiant Renegade, of course, continues to rock it, explaining the finances of Hollywood and keeping Hollywood on its toes. Folks, if you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and click it. Stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. We covet your comments. We care about what you think. Nay, this is not just for people and a conversation in a vacuum. No, we want to hear your thoughts. Your mind matters. And folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Floral, it's time for you to walk the plank.
What? Why?
Cuz you haven't subscribed to WDW Pro yet. Nor bookmark thatparkplace.com on your web browser to get great articles from great contributors.
What?